Major changes to the federal long-term care insurance program on today's Fed Pilot.
Welcome to Fed Pilot, where we help make federal retirement benefits understandable for humans like you. Oh, Cassie. This topic. I read an article and I was like, mind blown. What the heck just happened? And this is going to change. This changes a lot. Go ahead.
Let's back up though to before, where wasn't it a few months ago you had somebody in your workshop who had mentioned something about the federal long-term care program kind of being unstable financially?
Yes. They said, as I was just talking, someone put a comment in saying, hey, by the way, and that's one thing, one really cool thing about teaching federal employees is sometimes we get the people in our class who are in the know, who really know things before they actually come out. And so this person had to have been one of them, because they said, there are some changes coming with the long-term care, the federal long-term care, and they're going to be raising prices here pretty soon. And I was like, I haven't read that, heard that, seen that anywhere yet. And then I read an article on it this week, and it's a lot different than what any of us expected. You want to explain kind of what's going on?
Yeah, so essentially the federal long-term care insurance program is so unstable financially that they're having to not accept any new enrollees really for the next 2 years. And this will start happening on December 19th. And so if you can get an application in before then, by all means, please submit an application. You still will have to qualify medically to get the coverage. And there might be private insurance options or other ways to get that coverage that might be more financially better for you, but that's not for me to say. I would just say look at your options before you get into this program, because I have a feeling that even after they stop accepting the applications for the next 2 years, there's still going to have to be a significant rate increase for those who are enrolled in the program in order for them to qualify or to continue in the program, because it's such a financial disaster for the federal long-term care insurance program. And I mean, I don't like to say that, but that's the reality of it. There's so much going out as opposed to coming in, and it sounds like they're on the road to running out of money. It's by and just
we
I don't know how long, but
we saw this coming though. I mean, not maybe this exact thing, but we saw this coming because when long-term care insurance first arrived on the scene in the world, everyone got into it and everyone was offering it. And then as things went along, they started realizing, for us insurance companies, it's not such a great deal because people are living longer because of modern medicine has done a great job, which we're all thankful for. But that just means we live longer in a state where we need long-term care. And so all of a sudden they're thinking, what, this is that. So now there are only about 4 or 5 companies that do long-term care anymore. They've all gotten out of it because it isn't profitable for them, except for about 4 or 5 companies. John Hancock provides the federal long-term care insurance program. They do not offer long-term care insurance to anyone else except for federal employees. That's the only place that they do it. They got out of all the rest, but they kept it for here because they have the contract and they're kind of obligated to do that.
Right.
But that doesn't change the financial situation of long-term care. So they have had to, 6 years ago in 2016, they raised the prices an average of 83%. Now,
Right.
6 years later, they're taking even more drastic measures and saying no one can join for 2 years. And like you said, we don't know about increases in prices so far. That one
Right.
person who is in the know said, yep, it's coming. So I can see that still coming in the 2 years. And then at the end of the 2 years, there's no guarantee that they'll actually even open it back up. They may just say, you know what, we just can't anymore. Or, it's completely changed. Or it could be, we've opened up, we're back. We don't know what that's like yet.
Right, right. And then, what does that again do for the people who are already enrolled in the program as well?
Right.
Um, you're, they're probably going to be stuck with a premium increase. Of course, nothing is set in stone yet. We have, let's just say, there's no concrete evidence that there will be. However, if you read a lot of the different articles, they're doing the hold for the 2 years because of the unstable financial situation of the program itself, and so that's just a big indicator that it's a good possibility. And like you said, 6-7 years ago they had the 83% increase, and I want to say it wasn't long before that where they had another significant increase. And so on
Right.
average, I mean, if we average it out over 10 years, it's a good 8 to 9% per year increase on premiums if you want to keep the same coverage. Now, some might have an option where they can select less coverage and keep the same premium. But then what are you giving up as far as what you're going to need later on or possibly need later on? So,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a couple of other things with this program as well. It doesn't offer spousal discounts like some other programs do. It doesn't count for the state partnership program because it's technically not a policy. It's more of a contract that the government has with the servicer or John Hancock, if you will, the administrator of the program. So the employee doesn't own what they have, right? The government owns that contract. So it's kind of a difficult, or not difficult, but different thing, that people think it is. They think, oh yeah, I'm gonna sign up for this and it will all be good. But then, depending on where you are and what the requirements are for you to have long-term care insurance or some sort of that coverage there, then it's not going to just work for you in what you're trying to accomplish. So you got to be very careful on getting into the program and why you're getting into the program. Are you trying to satisfy that state partnership need? Are you getting
Mm-hmm.
it because you feel like you need to have that coverage because of family members who have had or needed additional care? Like, what does that look like for you, and why are you getting it? And like I said, there might be other ways to cover the need without getting traditional long-term care programs in
Right.
place. So, again, it's very important to talk to somebody who understands the long-term care insurance program in general, but then also the federal side and everything else to make sure that you're getting what you need in place.
Yeah. When I do my in-person workshops, I could have 50 people sitting there and I say, all right, raise your hand, please, if you have long-term care coverage of any type. And guess how many hands go up?
I would say maybe 10%.
Maybe one of those. So, yeah. maybe one of those people say, yeah, I have it. And that's it. It's
Wow.
hardly anyone does. And at the same time, I get it. It's important, however, to dive into this. Now, if we push this out a few years, let's say someone did get the federal long-term care insurance program and jumps in before December 19th or has been in already. Then let's say they're 60, 20 years, 25 years when they're 85, they need long-term care help now. Well, what have been the price hikes since then? What's the likelihood? I mean, if it went up 83% 6 years ago and it's going to do that again, what's the likelihood that they're actually going to be able to have afforded it that whole time and have not dropped it already? And if they do drop it, all of their money is gone. They don't
Right.
get any of it back. Now, there are programs in the outside world, in the open market, that don't work that way. That, just some quick examples. There are hybrids. There's you pay into, for example, a life insurance where, hey, I'm going to use my life insurance before I die for long-term care stuff. So it's kind of a dual purpose. Or ones where you pay into it and then you actually can finish paying into it and be done paying into it rather than continuing on for the rest of your life. And you can always make sure you get it back, or prices never increase, or all these different things. So there are a lot of options out there that people are going to have to now look at, because they're not going to have the option for the next 2 years to get into long-term care. So it's almost a forced, you got to look outside, period. You don't have a choice now.
Right. Right. And like to your point, there's other programs that have living benefits for chronic illness, terminal illness, those sort of things. So that way, if you do need some sort of monies to take care of yourself prior to kicking the bucket, if you will, then you're able to draw on that benefit instead of the benefit being paid out to your family. But that's why it's those kind of things in the different programs that really help you as the employee to make sure that you still have some coverage and make that money work for you in more than one way, because then you can also get a life insurance program as well. And so, and that's just one example, right? There's annuities that have those living benefits, like you
Yep.
were saying, you can self-insure. There's a couple of different options depending on what your situation is financially, what it is that you think you may need. Or what's available in your state, because different states might have different rules as well as far as living benefits or different types of coverage as far as life insurance and long-term care. So it's very important to talk to somebody who understands those different rules, who can really assist you in making sure that the decisions that you are trying to make are actually going to be beneficial for you. Because the last thing you want to do is pay into something that you may or may not use and or may not be beneficial for you. I know I don't want to lose money any more than I have to. And so I don't want to pay into a program that isn't going to be used or has no return of premium or anything like that, because it's just a waste of money. If or when I may need it, there's no guarantees there.
Because you may not. You may just be healthy as all get out until the very end, right, Cassie?
Well, actually, yeah, that's how my grandpa died. He didn't need any care. His heart just stopped.
There you go. Yeah.
I mean, so
Yeah.
it happens to people. They don't necessarily need care. And then you again paid into the premium or into this program that you're not going to use, and that doesn't feel good.
No.
So
No. This is a big topic, and I in the workshop, all the topics that we talk about, I think people kind of either generally know what it's about and kind of why to do it, or they know a lot about, like the pension. A lot of people know a lot about the pension, but they may not know hardcore particulars that we go into, but they'll go into, okay, I know what a pension is. I generally know how it works, right? With long-term care, most people haven't even thought about it. It's not, I mean,
right.
they're not even to the point of learning about it yet, because they haven't even thought, should I even do it? They don't care about it until, and I'll actually, so when I say who has long-term care and that one person in 50 raises their hands, I'll ask, and almost every time this happens, it's just like clockwork. I say, okay,
Yeah.
why do you have this? And they said, because I watched my mom go through it. I watched my dad. I watched my grandparent go through it. I watched a brother go through it. And I realized I've got to have it. Almost every single time. Once they see the effects of it, they're like, yes, please. I want it now. And I've got to take care of this, because they see how disastrous it can be. So I don't think, Cassie, you and I brought any comfort any any hope. I just probably brought up more questions, but these are questions that people have to ask with the changes that are going to happen. And sometimes it isn't, our job right here isn't to bring hope and happiness all the time. That's what we love to bring, but at the same time we have to bring reality to say, hey, we need to look at these things, and that's kind of where we are with long-term care.
Yep, for sure.
Okay, well, thank you very much. We may have to do a follow-up on this a little later on once we find out some things that are happening. So everyone stay tuned. Join us for our Fed Pilot Workshop. Thanks for joining us. Tens of thousands of federal employees have relied on the Fed Pilot Workshops to help them navigate the complex world of federal retirement benefits. Join us at one of the many Fed Pilot Workshops held each month. Register for free at fedpilot.com, and we'll see you there.